Good morning, everyone. It is currently 2:38 in the morning. I have slept and I've woken up, so my sleeping schedule is totally out of whack. Either way, today we're going to be talking about augmenting because currently there is the 15% augmentation aid, which is very helpful and will allow us to do a lot of things. And so in today's video, I will be breaking it into 3 separate segments. We'll have the beginner's version, then an intermediate, then an advanced version. And thus, depending on what your financial situation is in game at the moment, you'll be able to adjust and mix and match and do what's best for you. But first of all, if you're new to the channel, I upload PSO2 content daily. So if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. Alright, before we start talking about augments, there's one thing that I want to make clear to everyone, and that is S ability factors. Your S ability factors is what gives your weapons and units the majority of their power. So if we look at my Trailblazer Katana over here, the reason why I have so many affixes over here is because I want the 200 melee power. But the reason why I want the 200 melee power is because the S1 ability over here. I want to change it from 1% to 2%. And this is why I invested so much in order to get 200 melee power. And my next priorities for this weapon is to fix up my S2 and S3 abilities, because at the time when I was making the weapon, the only thing I cared about was making sure that the S1 ability would be activated. And thus I focused a ton of effort in order to make sure that I hit this magical 200 power. But now that I've got this, now I can start focusing on my S2 and my S3 ability. You can see over here that my S2 ability is Precision Will, increases critical damage by 3%. But my S3 ability is Aggressive Will, which just increases my damage by a flat 2%. There are better options out there with S3 abilities. So for example, over here, I have already bought a S3 capsule over here, which gives me Precision Will. This increases my critical damage by 4%. So increasing my critical damage by 4% is obviously better than increasing my regular damage by 2%. The main reason I say that is because I play a Braver, and the Braver has a 100% crit chance. So all of my attacks are critical hits, so it is more beneficial for me to increase my crit damage. Alright, with that being said, we can now jump into the meat and potatoes of the video, which is augmenting. So if you are a beginner and you're still using your Atlas EX weapon and you're using your offs units, so the free units and the free weapon that we got from the last event, if you're just using that, then don't worry about augmenting yet. Worry about enhancing. You want to get your weapon to plus 35 and you want to get all your units to plus 10. That should be your priority. Now, if you managed to do that already, your next step is to look at your S abilities. So in order to see what S abilities your weapon is compatible with, you want to go to the second page of your weapons tab, and right here under compatibility, it'll show you right here what S abilities are compatible with your weapon. Once you know what S ability factors your weapon is compatible with, you want to come to this website over here. The link will be in the description below, so you can just click on that, and you want to browse through all the different S abilities. So for example, if you're using an Atlas EX weapon, that supports S1, S2, S3, and S4 abilities. And you want to look through this list over here at the S1 abilities. There's a ton of different S1 abilities, and you just want to browse through this and see which one fits your playstyle the best. Now, there are certain S abilities that work together, such as the Leaf Gleam, Moon Gleam, Petal Gleam, Sea Gleam. All of the gleams will work together. So if you do decide to go for the gleam path, then you might want to make sure that all of your S abilities are in sync and synergize together in order to give you even stronger actives. Alright, so you finally decided what S abilities you want onto your weapon. If you bought a capsule like myself, in order to put this into your main weapon, it's not as simple as just slotting it in. You do have to do a little bit of augmenting, and I'm going to show you that right now in the most cheapest and easiest way possible. So we're simply going to walk over to Monica or Dudu, and once you talk to them, then we're going to go to Affix Augment. In Affix Augment over here, you can see that I've got a bunch of other weapons other than my Trailblazer. My Trailblazer is my main weapon, so I'm not going to be touching that yet. But for these weapons over here, I simply chose them because they have level 1 precision, level 1 reflex, and these have 100% chance to transfer onto another weapon, which makes my life a lot easier. However, I do have to look at the second tab over here as well to see if the weapon is compatible with the S3 ability, because I'm going to be using the capsule onto this weapon. And that's why I pulled out this 13-star weapon, mainly because you can see right here, it is compatible with S2 and S3. And I'll be using that S3 capsule onto this weapon in order for this weapon to gain the S3 Precision Will ability, which I'll be ripping off later and putting it onto my Trailblazer. But enough talk, I'm just going to show you it. So first of all, I want to select my 13-star weapon as my base weapon, and then I'm going to be putting this and this. And the reason why I want to put these is because I want the level 1 abilities here. So you can see this as Reflex 1, there's Precision 1, and unfortunately there's no other big skills over here, so I'll probably have to gamble. I click confirm and it'll ask me right here, would you like to use add S3 Precision Will? And yes, I do. So you can see over here, S3 Precision Will 100%. And you'll see right here that I've got all these other abilities that have 100%, and then all the others are like at 75%. But to me, it doesn't really matter because as long as I get the Precision Will onto the weapon, I'll be fine. So I'm just going to gamble, even though over here it's a 75% chance of success, but it doesn't matter because I don't care about Stamina 3. The only one I care about is Precision Will. So I'm going to click Start Affix Augment. Now, if you do have a booster, you can use it. Like most people have a 30% booster and you can make this 100%, but in my case, I really don't care. And boom. You can see everything was success. I got very, very lucky. And close. So now you can see I have two weapons. I've got my Trailblazer weapon and I've got this random 13-star weapon with S3 Precision Will. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this S3 Precision Will into the Trailblazer, and you'll notice that the S3 Aggressive Will on this Trailblazer will be transferred over onto this weapon instead. And you'll see that right now. We talk to Monica, we go to transfer S-Grade Augment. My base weapon is going to be the Trailblazer. Very important here, make sure to select your main weapon as the base weapon. So yep, and then your secondary weapon is going to be the fodder, and right here S1, S2, S3, and then all of my regular stats. So you can see here, these are the affixes that I will be putting onto my Trailblazer. I'll have melee amp, precision will, and then all of my regular stats to get 200 power. To next item, and you're going to notice here that hey, aggressive will is now an option for this weapon. So now I can put that. And that way, this weapon does not down slot because it has aggressive will. I essentially swapped the S3 abilities between the two weapons. So this originally had precision will, I swapped it with aggressive will. So I'm going to do confirm, and you'll see right here that my Trailblazer katana over here will now have precision will, while the other weapon will get aggressive will. Now it is a little bit expensive, so do keep that in mind. Unfortunately, this event does not have the 0 Meseta cost, so you will need a little bit of Meseta. This cost me $1 million right here just to do this. So yep, and boom, transfer successful. So now you can see my Trailblazer weapons S abilities are all great. My S1 is the melee amp. My S2 is Precision Will, increase crit damage by 3%, and my S3 ability is also increase critical damage by 4%. So this 7% of extra critical damage is going to far outweigh a lot of the stats that this gives me right here. So it's very important to understand that S abilities is the meat and potatoes of your weapon. That's where it gets all its power, okay? And over here, you'll realize that my S3 Aggressive Will is now on this weapon. So if I want to transfer it to another weapon, I can do so whenever I want. So now I can just put this into storage for another day when I want to use Aggressive Will or whatever. All right, so to recap, if you're still at the beginner stages, all you want to do is focus on enhancing, getting your weapon to plus 35, as well as getting your units to plus 10. Now, if you do have some extra Meseta sitting around, I'd say around 5 to 10 million, then you can start focusing on the S abilities on your weapon. At the beginner stages, you shouldn't worry about getting an 8-slot weapon. If your weapon is 4 slots or if your weapon is 6 slots, it'll be fine. What you want to focus on are the S ability factors on that specific weapon, because as I just showcased, you can always mix and match the S abilities. They're going to be on your weapon, they're going to be in your arsenal permanently, unless you accidentally overwrite it with something and lose it. But in most people's cases, investing in a good S ability factor is always worth it, because you can always transfer it to a better weapon later down the line. So just focus on the S abilities on your weapon. Again, this website is in the description below. It literally tells you what S ability it is, it tells you what it does, and it also tells you where you get it. And you can see over here, these are the S2 abilities, and there are a ton of choices. So take your time and don't worry about the meta too much. Worry about your own gameplay. Augments are here to enhance your own playstyle, to make it smoother, to make yourself more efficient in the way that you like to play. You don't need to min-max in a certain way if you don't play that type of style. So please take it easy, relax, and just have fun. Alright, next up is for my intermediate players. If you guys are mid-game, so you probably have your Trailblazer weapon and you have your Trailblazer units. Maybe your Trailblazer units aren't maxed out yet, you know, they're not upgraded to the final form yet. Well, don't worry about it too much. What you guys should be focusing now is maybe building up fodder in order to upgrade to 6 slots on your units, because you want to start anticipating for your S abilities, because the back piece is going to be S6, the arms is S7, and the legs is S8. And so if you're like me and you have 5 slots over here, if you want to add that S ability, then you're going to need 6 slots. Now, of course, if you're a little bit more ambitious and you want 7 or 8 slots, you can go ahead. So what I'm personally going to be doing is I'm going to be using this augmentation week in order to prepare for the future. So I'm going to prepare to get 6 slot or 7 slot units and start getting them all to +10 so I can rip off their special ability factors. So what am I talking about? I'm mainly talking about the Novel series over here. So the Novel units actually have special ability factors. They act the same way as weapons, however, they're for units. So when you get the Novel back piece to +10, you'll be able to get Might 5 onto your unit. It'll be a special ability factor, so all you need to do is care about the number of slots. So if you're making a unit with 5 slots, then you could just use the base one. However, if your unit is 6 slots, then you're going to need to upslot this to 6 slots. And with the current augmentation week going on, it's a 100% chance to get a 6 slot unit. So you might want to start preparing getting 3 of these back units to 6 slots as well as +10. So later down the line, when you do want Might 5 onto your units, you can just rip it right off your Novel unit right here. Now, if you're super duper tryhard and you upgrade your Novel units into the Rivalate units, then instead of getting Might 5, you'll get Might 6. But that is only an additional 5 stat. And upgrading a Novel to a Rivalate is very, very expensive and in my opinion not worth it. I would recommend most people to just stick with the Novel series because getting stat 5 is more than good enough. Now let's say you play a range class. If you play a range class, then use the arms piece because this one gives you precision 5. Now if you play a caster, then you want to use the leg piece because the leg piece will give you casting 5. So what you can do now is, depending on what class you play, is pick up 3 pieces of the corresponding units, get them to +10 as well as upslot them. Depending on how many slots you're going, if you're going 8 slots, then you want to upslot it to 8 slots, so forth and so on, okay? Now these are not the only special augment factors which are available for units. As we can see here, these were the ones that I just covered over. To get Might 5, you just get the Novel. If you want Might 6, then you want to go to Rivalate, so forth and so on. However, there are other stats down here. If you want Doombreak 2, you can get this as well through a special ability factor, so you don't need to farm for a ton of Doombreaks and go through the process of augmenting. And you can get Sentence Might, Sentence Precision, or Sentence Casting as well. Super duper easy. However, this requires the Chevelle units. So if you are using the Chevelle units normally, then you'd have to go through the augmentation process in order to add this into your arsenal, which is a little bit of a pain in the butt. But if you want to do it, it is an option. However, just like our weapons, the S-Grade augments are much stronger on your units as well. So the difference between the S-Grade augments on units compared to weapons is units can only have 1 S-Grade augment per piece. So all S6 abilities will only work for back pieces. All S7 abilities will work for arms, and all S8 abilities will work for legs, okay? So you want to look through here and see which S ability fits your playstyle the most. So maybe if you want more HP, you want more power, you want more PP, and then there's a lot of other things based off your class. So S6 Soul Protection over here is mainly geared towards hunters as well as bravers because it fills up the hunter weapon gear as well as the katana gear when guarding. So you're going to have to go through this list over here and see which S abilities work best for you. Again, all links will be in the description below. Now, last but not least, for my intermediate players is the potential of making Meseta. So you can see over here that I have an 8 slot Union Knuckles, which will give you Astral Soul onto your weapon. And because it's 8 slots, it is worth a little bit more money. As we can see here, if I go to check augment prices and I remove all the augments, I just want an 8 slot Union weapon, you'll see that it is worth around 7 million. Now it's not worth as much as it used to be, mainly because a lot of people are getting these because of the rainbow keys, and that's why the prices have tanked a bit. However, another thing that you can look at is the Basilisk Defender with 8 slots as well. We can take away all these and check weapon with same name, and you can see that these weapons go for around 1 million. So what you can do is you can just kind of browse through all the weapons and check their augment factor and see which one is popular and try to upslot that weapon and flip it for a profit. However, this doesn't only apply to weapons. it also applies to units. So if we go over here to number of augments, you can see that I've got a bunch of 7-slot units, 8-slot units, and a lot of 6-slot units. This is because I'm preparing for the future and I will be using these units to make my 7-slot unit later down the line. But you can see over here that I have a 7-slot unit with Deus factor. And if we check the prices over here with just Deus factor, search all units, this is worth 1 million. So as an intermediate player, you just want to look at the market and see what sells fast and flip those items by upslotting them. However, please be careful, do the math yourself, make sure that you are actually making a profit and not losing money, okay? Now for my advanced players out there, you guys probably already know this and already know what to do, but you guys should be working towards your Astral, Ether, and Mana Reverie, as well as all the stuff in order to create Guardian Soul. Now there are several ways to tackle this. You can do the surefire way and just go with 4 augments, and then just use augment transfer passes to slowly upslot and get to 8 eventually. Or you can gamble and go the RNG method, which I don't recommend, but if you do have a lot of protections, especially like the 7-slot protection or the 6-slot protections, then by all means, of course, you can gamble and do that as well. But if you're fully free to play like I am, then you're going to have to use the 4-slot way, because I think that's the only protection that we can get as a free to play player is the 4-slot protection. Correct me if I'm wrong about that in the comment section below. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully you're not like Hachama over here going, oh, it's so difficult, what is going on? You know, just take it easy, move at your own pace. If you want to totally skip augmenting and just not deal with it, that's perfectly fine as well. If you guys are seriously having a ton of trouble with augmenting, then maybe just stick with the special ability factors where you just get a unit or a weapon to its max level and you'll just be able to rip an ability right off it. I feel like that is probably the easiest way to augment, especially if you have no idea what you're doing. That will definitely help you guys quite a bit. But anyway, hopefully this video was helpful. If it was, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome for the heals, the boosts, the